started with high school football. He is in his 19th year at his alma mater at Archbishop Rummel, where he's won over 79% of his games. He's won an all-time high 11 Catholic League championships, guided Rummel to the 2012 5A state championship, and took the Raiders to the 5A state final in 2009. Of course, he was an outstanding quarterback at Rummel before playing collegiately at Nicholls State. Rummel shut out 7th-ranked Holy Cross 28-0 this past Saturday night, and the Raiders will face Brother Martin at Tad Gormley Stadium this Friday night. Please give a warm quarterback club welcome to the head coach of the Rummel Raiders, Coach Jay Roth. Jay?
Thank you, Kenny, and the quarterback club. You know, coming here last year, I remember I might have came over quarterfinal week, and I was at the table with Jabbar Jaloub. And Jabbar said, you know, he told Kenny, he says, Kenny, every time you invite me, the next week we always win. And I started thinking about it. I said, you know what, Jabbar, it's the same with myself too. Every time I come, I get nervous about coming because I don't want to come after a loss and we end up winning. So Jabbar and I showed up 3 straight weeks uninvited last year, all the way through the state championship. I'll never forget, semifinal week we were here, we weren't even invited. And then we came back the week before the state finals and came back, sat down, ate. It worked, it was a gym, you know. And then when Kenny called me this week, he said, Jay, would you come over after the Holy Cross game? I was a little nervous because, to be honest with you, the Holy Cross is 7th ranked in the state, 7-1, coming off a hard-fought game versus St. Aug, and really not the nicest person in the world after a loss, and it worked out all well. So somebody told me this morning, said, Jay, this is the biggest smile you've had on your face all season after the game at Holy Cross, and it was, because our season, by my standards, has been up and down. We're 6-3. And it's been a trying season as far as trying to get the kids to play to a certain level, which I know they can play. We started the first 2 games of the year. We were struggling on offense. We were trying to find ourselves a quarterback. We made a permanent move, putting sophomore Chase Forcade as a starting quarterback, and he has just blossomed. And the offense has played well throughout the year. Defensively, we have some real good players and a real fine unit, but not every player has shown up yet this year. They made the plays they've made in the past. We've had big wins, you know, such as against Catholic High. We've had games like at Jesuit, which we've slept through a half and, you know, down 14-0 and come back to win. Played hard against St. Aug in a loss. Played hard against Acadiana in a loss. And probably the most trying loss is the one at Dutchtown we had early in the season after being up 21-0 with 5 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Dutchtown came back and tied it and sent it overtime and defeated us. Now, real good football team. I mean, Dutchtown's one of the top 10 teams in the state. But I was upset just in the sense that to have that kind of lead, that should not have happened. And probably the most talked about thing at Rummel this year has been the R's coming off the kids' helmets. It's been amazing, the talk that is generated through social media and parents and so on. It's just something I did about 16 years ago, 17 years ago. We had lost on a Thursday night. We opened the season against Salmon High School. Now, Salmon was no slouch. They were coached by Stubbs, and they were defending state champs and went on to win the state championship again, but they blew us out the stadium. They beat us 31-0 week 1. I think it was in 1997 or 98. So I was just disappointed the way the kids played. I said it isn't representative of a Rummel football team that took their R's off their helmet. And we ended up going to the quarterfinals that year after that loss. Well, this year after the Dutchtown game, I tell you, I was a little upset. We marched straight to the buses. I sat them down on the bus with the uniforms on, didn't give them any Powerade. We just sat there and waited for the crowds to leave. And I brought them back to school, and they had their uniforms on for the hour-and-a-half bus ride home. We sat in the locker room and talked a little bit. And I just told them, I said, guys, take the R's off, both sides, put them in a trash can. Now, it hurt me. That was $325 going down the drain, been on a helmet for 4 days, 4 weeks. And I said, wow, that's a lot of money I'm throwing away. But I just made it a point to them that this isn't the way that we play football at Rummel. I can take a good hard effort, but just to lay down and really lay down when you even had the lead, I was upset. So lo and behold, over the last 4 or 5 weeks after every game, they're getting the R's back, and they're getting the R's back. And I said, no, they really haven't done anything to deserve it yet. And a lot of the people who would interview me say, well, is this win get the R back? I said, no, when we beat somebody who is, you know, higher ranked than us, they'll get them back. So leading up to the Holy Cross game, I hadn't had one player tell me, Coach, when are we getting our R's back? I guess they were scared to, but not one player has said, Coach, when are we getting our R's back? So we had a little heart-to-heart on Friday afternoon. I said, guys, you know, nobody's approached me about it. So I'm gonna make a deal with you. Holy Cross is ranked number 8 or 7 in the state, one of the top 5 teams in the city. I said, you beat a team like Holy Cross, and we're gonna get 1 hour back. Now, it's 1 hour back because I didn't have enough to go around for everybody. So, after we won Saturday night, I'd come back to the field house, and we usually stay around and eat, and a lot of some faculty and old players come back. So I said, I gotta go find out this decal situation here. I just promised all these kids decals. And I did preface it by saying, if you played, you're gonna get a decal. So I went in the locker room and I took all the kids who got on the field, put 1 R on the right side, then I realized I had enough for everybody else. So it's kind of the Pittsburgh Steelers look. We'll have 1 R on one side to finish the year, and it would be blank on the other. But it was funny this morning as they walked in the locker room. Thank you, coach. Thank you, coach. So it was important to them. They just didn't want to approach me about it. So right now we're going into week 10, and we play Brother Martin Friday night as the season ends. Catholic League play. I believe St. Aug pretty much has the Catholic League title wrapped up. Congratulations to them on the fine season, the fine team they have. We play Brother Martin on Friday night, and Brother Martin has played, they've been in every game. I mean, every game has come down to the wire with them, with the exception of St. Aug, which pretty much everybody's game has this year. But they're a good football team. I think they have one of the best offensive lines in the city. Some real good young running backs. A defensive coach who's playing some sound football and then getting them lined up right. So, I'm very concerned about the Brother Martin game Friday night, especially being that we're coming off a win like Holy Cross. And then we'll enter the select and non-select playoff system, which I probably should talk about sometimes, but I'm a very vocal opponent to it. And I think the people in the state of Louisiana are going to realize when they realize there's 2 separate championships going on starting in 2 weeks. Everything's been fine and dandy for the regular season. We've played each other, and it's been like old times. You meet Ted Davidson and you play him, or Benny Sayer at Dutchtown, or Phil Bank or Lou Valden. Guys you played all along, but I don't think people realize that in 2 weeks we're separated. We're going our different ways. And in the Catholic, in the select division, we're going to have buys. There's where you're not going to play a game week 1, and you're not going to play a game week 4, and you only have to win 2 to get to the championship at the Division 1 select. So there's going to be changes which people have not had around here or used to in a long, long time. And I can honestly say as a coach, that might have affected my attitude during the season. Knowing before we even kicked off, everybody was going to the playoffs. I used to like that pressure of week 6 or 7, trying to find out if you're going to make the playoffs, if you're 4-3 at a certain point, or what seed you're going to be, or where you're traveling, or you're playing a team you've never played before. So that's going to all change, especially the Division 1 select, because they have 10 teams, and we've played 8 of them this year already. So we're looking at playing pretty much just about everybody over again as you go through the playoffs, no matter who it is. But hopefully the hires above will get it corrected. And I've even heard that next year we should be back to the same old playoff system, which suits me just fine. Because I think no matter what happens this year, after that night in the Superdome, everybody's going to want to know who the real state champion is in each class, and there'll be no way to prove it this year. No way to prove it at all. So I thank the quarterback club for having me today, and hopefully Kenny, maybe 2 or 3 weeks from now, might be crashing the club's party again, okay? Thank y'all.
Anybody have any questions? Raise your hand for Jay. He's trying to get away without a question. Fire away. Anybody? Raise your hand. In the back over here.
No. Question? No?
Raise your hand.
Now that Jaluke's at Louisiana Tech, does he come visit you more?
Yes, Jabbar was here in the spring. He hasn't made his fall visit, but Jabbar hit all the schools in the spring. That's one thing about guys with Louisiana ties, especially this city. Jabbar did a good job recruiting for Tech last year, and I'm sure he's going to help them greatly again.
Do you know who you're going to play in the playoffs yet?
No, sir. No, sir. To be honest with you, I really haven't followed it. Even when it was like it was last year, power rankings, I don't bother with it. It's usually after that Saturday or Sunday. It's been a tradition of mine over the past years. No matter where I've coached as an assistant or a head coach, to go up there early. My father would cook for a bunch of coaches. I'd ask anybody. In the past, I played Shaw on a Saturday for the district championship. The next day, it was either Hank or Scott driving with me to Gonzales to eat and trading film, and Coach Bonice has driven with me at times, and we've enjoyed the camaraderie. But I know this year I told Coach Greco, I'm not even going to go up there. There's no reason for me to even go up there. Everything's done over the computer and internet now. We all know about film swap now with the internet and computers. So that's all done. Now you don't have to go and trade VHS tapes anymore. And I think, Mr. Liberto, by Saturday, the select schools will have a pretty good idea who would play us. So I don't see a reason for me to go up there. I know Coach Greco will go up there, but I won't make the trip this year.
Anyone else?
All right, thank y'all very much.